The day my daughter was in a car accident, my wife covered up the crime for her first love. She threatened me, demanding I kneel and apologize to him, or she would pull the plug on our daughter's life support. After my daughter died because of her, my wife thought I was joking. She said to me with disgust, "The doctor is there. How could she possibly die?" It wasn't until her first love knocked over our daughter's urn that she panicked and clung to me, begging for another chance. The child's life has been saved, but it's highly likely she'll be in a vegetative state. You need to be prepared for that. Her brain was already underdeveloped, and this serious car accident has caused further damage. We can't rule out brain death. When I heard the doctor's words, my head exploded. Everything went black, and I almost collapsed. Vegetative state and brain death are two different things. The doctor was being gentle, but his pitying expression told me everything was left to fate. Pale and distraught, I went to pay the small medical bill, only to discover that Lee Duol had maxed out all my cards. I didn't have a single penny. My face flushed red. I called Lee Duol a dozen times, but she didn't answer. I had no choice but to go home to get the emergency funds from the safe. When I got home, I walked in to find Lee Duol tenderly helping her first love, Song Chingha, with his shirt. Song Chingha seemed to have been in some kind of accident. His leg was in a cast, and he was lying comfortably on my sofa. When Lee Duol saw me, the tenderness in her expression instantly vanished as she continued to help Song Chingha clean his upper body. My temples throbbed. I yelled, "Why didn't you answer my calls? What's the meaning of bringing him home, flaunting your affair in front of me? Do you even remember whose name is on the marriage certificate?" Lee Duol wasn't the least bit ashamed. Instead, she moved closer to Song Chingha. "Chingha had an accident on the road. What's wrong with me helping him as a friend? Why are you so angry?" Before I could speak, Song Chingha patted Lee Duol's hand, a gesture so familiar it was as if they were the married couple. I angrily interrupted him. "I had a little accident. If it weren't for Lele helping me, I'm afraid." "Did I give you permission to speak? Can't you see this is between my wife and me? Why are you an outsider butting in?" "I'm not going to argue with you now. Xiao Xiao is in the hospital after a car accident and needs surgery. Where did you transfer all the money from my cards?" My voice was out of control, startling Lee Duol. She guiltily looked away, and I suddenly noticed the safe had been taken out. I rushed over, my pupils trembling. It was empty. Everything of value was gone. "Where's the money? Did you steal it?" "Jiang Beishu, watch your mouth. This is our marital property. Chingha is seriously injured. Can I use it for emergencies? I can't get the money together in such a short time." Lee Duol knew she couldn't hide it anymore and decided to confront me directly. I grabbed her collar and growled, "What about my daughter? I'm your husband. We are your family. You give all the money to an outsider, and you haven't even thought about what will happen to our daughter's life." Lee Duol nodded knowingly. When Xiao Xiao was mentioned, disgust filled her eyes. "Why are you yelling? She's not even your biological daughter. Why are you so anxious? A picked-up retard, dead is dead. It's a relief for me. I don't have to share the inheritance with her." I slapped Lee Duol hard across the face, leaving a red mark. Her lips trembled, and she didn't speak for a long time. "You hit me?" Her voice quivered, as if she hadn't expected me to actually hit her. Even Song Chingha quickly pushed his wheelchair in front of her. "I knew you were emotionally unstable. Lele has done so much for this family, and you actually abused her." Song Chingha was pushing my buttons. I cursed under my breath and kicked his wheelchair over. He flew out, and I heard the crack of bone again. He grimaced in pain. Lee Duol's face instantly turned white. She helped Song Chingha up, her eyes filled with distress and tears. "Are you crazy? Jiang Xiao Xiao is a jinx. Isn't it her fault she died?" As we were at a standstill, the hospital called with an urgent update. Xiao Xiao's condition was critical, but I still had a large sum of money to pay. "Xiao Xiao is in trouble now. If you don't give me the money, I'll sell the house tomorrow." After saying that, I pushed her away and rushed to the hospital. Xiao Xiao's condition was even more critical this time, and the hospital issued 3 critical condition notices. Even if I called the police now, it would take time to find the hit-and-run driver. I borrowed almost all the money I could, and even put my house up for sale. During this period, no matter how I tried to contact Lee Duol to get her to return the money, she played dead the entire time. "She's covered in injuries. It wasn't me. I can't take this case." I'll never be able to clear my name. To take care of Xiao Xiao, I specifically hired a female caregiver to help clean her body. But soon after, the caregiver ran out in a panic, trying desperately to prove something to me. My heart skipped a beat, and I rushed into the ward in a panic. Xiao Xiao's arm was exposed, covered in bruises, and even her back had been scalded with boiling water. When did this happen? I was breathing rapidly, and for a moment I couldn't catch my breath. I felt completely lost. Xiao Xiao's brain is underdeveloped, and her mental age is only 2 or 3 years old. She is usually unable to take care of herself. When I married Li Duol, she had also vowed to me, "You just focus on working and earning money outside, and leave Xiao Xiao to me. I'm not often at home. More often I'm away on business trips, and I send money to Li Duol every month. And Xiao Xiao has always been with her. Besides her, no one else would hurt Xiao Xiao. China, don't worry. I've prepared everything for the money. You don't have to worry about your medical expenses." A familiar voice reached my ears. With a pent-up anger in my heart, I pushed open the ward door and came face to face with Li Duol. Li Duol was pushing her first love, Song Qinghe, and they were talking and laughing. The corners of her mouth, which had been curved in a smile, instantly stiffened when she saw me. And Song Qinghe also looked wary when he saw me. I also saw that the plaster cast on his leg was thicker. Jiang Beishu, I won't hold it against you for pushing me, but Lele is a woman who has sacrificed so much for her family, and you still turned out to be a wife-beater. Song Qinghe raised his voice a few notches when he said this, as if he wanted everyone to know. Song Qinghe was still the same green tea bitch, and Li Duol, hearing him care about her so much, hugged him with slightly red eyes, feeling touched. "What, are you lonely? Do you have to get involved with your married ex and be a kept man, even having your ex pay for your medical expenses?" Song Qinghe's face instantly darkened, and Li Duol stomped her foot in anger. She suddenly glanced at the ward behind me and sneered. "Zhang Xiao Xiao is in the ward inside, right? You better watch your mouth. Be careful of karma. Let your precious darling go straight to the afterlife." Li Duol's words were extremely vicious, and I clenched my lips, trembling with anger. The thought of Xiao Xiao being abused by Li Duol made me want to make her kneel in front of Xiao Xiao and kowtow an apology right now. I grabbed her wrist and pulled her into Xiao Xiao's ward. "What are you doing? Are you crazy?" I used a lot of force, and I could hear the cracking of bones as I gripped her wrist. With a forceful swing, Li Duol knelt directly beside Xiao Xiao's bed. She was in so much pain that her face contorted, but she still glared at me with venomous eyes. "The injuries on Xiao Xiao's body, you did them, right?" I was terrifyingly calm. Li Duol's eyes darted to Xiao Xiao, who was covered in injuries, but she just shrugged nonchalantly. "I was just teaching her a lesson. It's hard for me to take care of a mentally handicapped child, okay? She doesn't listen to me, so I have to hit her. I'll report you to the police for abusing Xiao Xiao. Now give me back all the money you've taken from me." Jiang Beishu, as a man, it's only natural to spend money on a woman. Do you even have the nerve to ask for the money back? Lele is right. You will have your own children in the future. You are so partial to Xiao Xiao now. Who knows how you will bully them and their mother then? He pushed his wheelchair into the ward and closed the door. I sprang up, walked to him, and kicked his injured leg with all my might. He let out a howl, breaking out in a cold sweat, his face ashen. Li Duol was heartbroken to see Song Qinghe being beaten by me again. She went crazy, grabbing my hair and pushing me hard into the corner. My head hit the wall hard, and I instantly felt dizzy. "You love this little bastard so much, do you? Then I'll let her die now." Li Duol's face was jingning, and she reached out to pull off Xiao Xiao's oxygen tube. I cried out in terror. "Don't!" Li Duol saw my reaction and seemed to see something interesting. She stopped and sneered. "What? Are you heartbroken already? What bullshit family? I'm your wife. This is just a little bastard. You kneel down now and kowtow to Qinghe to apologize, and I'll let this little bastard go." I wanted to press the call button, but Li Duol gave me a warning look, as if she would pull out the oxygen tube if I made any move. "Li Duol, what exactly do you want? Xiao Xiao is just a child. She doesn't understand anything. Just for Song Qinghe, do you have to go this far with me?" Li Duol's face became even more gloomy, and she looked at me coldly. "I've had enough of you. Don't think I don't know. You married me just to have a free nanny to take care of this bastard. I won't let you have your way. Everyone looks down on me, Only Qinghao is different. I really regret marrying you. I didn't get a single bit of care, and I had to be a free nanny. Forget it, Lele, I'm fine. Don't do anything foolish, after all. She's still a child. Song Qingha struggled to get up from the ground. Although he was comforting Li Duel's emotions, his eyes were full of anticipation, wishing she would pull out the oxygen tube right now. Sure enough, these words fell on Li Duel's ears, making her feel that Song Qingha was too wronged. Will you kneel or not? My eyes were bloodshot, and the fists hanging by my sides clenched tightly. Xiao Xiao and I were both orphans. I had thought I would have a happy family, but Li Duel treated Xiao Xiao this way for the sake of her first love. I pursed my lips tightly, looking at Song Qingha with humiliation. Li Duel was a madwoman, and I was afraid she would really do something to Xiao Xiao. With a thud, I knelt heavily on the ground. Seeing my embarrassment, Song Qingha's smile almost reached the sun. Are you satisfied now? Get out of Xiao Xiao's ward. But at this moment, Li Duel raised a malicious smile and pulled out Xiao Xiao's oxygen tube. You should learn a lesson. Otherwise, you only have eyes for this little bastard. Soon, Xiao Xiao was convulsing all over, and the instruments beside her were beeping nonstop. My face turned pale, and I stumbled over, desperately pressing the call button on the wall. I kicked Li Duel down, snatched the oxygen tube from her hand, and tried to put it back, but I didn't know how. The instrument emitted a sharp alarm, and the doctor and several nurses rushed in. The scene was chaotic, and I stood stunned in the corner. Only then did I realize that Li Duel and Song Qingha had disappeared. By the time I got home, it was already evening, and Li Duel had turned on all the lights. I was exhausted, hunched over, with dark circles under my eyes. Signed a divorce agreement. I threw the divorce agreement on the table. Why are you so petty? I was planning to apologize to you today. You can't divorce me just because of my unintentional act, can you? Li Duel didn't even look at the divorce agreement on the table and was still admiring her newly bought bag in front of the mirror. The bag I saw last time was pretty good. Remember to bring me another one when you come back from your next business trip. I suddenly threw the cup over, and the mirror was violently smashed. Li Duel was startled. Then her face changed, and she turned around and slapped me. Are you fucking crazy? Sign it, and then get out of this house. She seemed a little confused. Even if I had quarreled with her before, I would never mention divorce. Li Duel's eyes reddened, and she grabbed my collar and roared. Do you have a heart? I've been married to you for so long, and you still favor that jinx. If it weren't for her, I wouldn't have had a miscarriage. Why didn't you care about me then? There are so many doctors and nurses in the hospital. Are they all useless? It's just pulling out the oxygen tube for a while. And now you want a divorce? You. Li Duel realized that no matter how much she vented, I didn't coax her like before. I just had a wooden face, and I was completely lost. She noticed that I was still holding a piece of paper in my hand, and her face darkened as she snatched it. I knew it was a medical bill. That little bastard can't do anything but spend money. But soon, Li Duel couldn't speak. The paper clearly stated death certificate. She was silent for a while, then nodded knowingly, muttering to herself. Okay, keep acting. See how I expose you. Although Li Duel was shouting, she paced anxiously and quickly called the hospital, her voice trembling slightly. Hello? Please check room 303. The voice on the other end of the phone was a little puzzled. Wasn't the patient in room 303 declared dead to the family today? Li Duel frowned and sneered, then immediately hung up the phone. She clutched the death certificate tightly, trembling with anger. Now you can even lie to me with this kind of thing? Do you think I'll believe it? There are so many doctors and nurses in the hospital. Are they all useless? Cardiac arrest can be saved, but she's going to die just because of a lack of oxygen for a while. I know. You must be trying to make me divorce you, so that all the property will go to Jiang Xiao Xiao. You're just treating me like a nanny. I rubbed my temples. Li Duel's voice was too noisy. She had always been selfish. Even my friends were shocked that I could tolerate her temper for so long. Thinking of Xiao Xiao, still lying in the cold morgue, my nose twitched, and tears were about to fall. My hatred for Li Duel grew even stronger. Go ahead and make a scene. After you're done, sign the divorce agreement. I won't give you a penny, and I'm going to sue you for intentional homicide. Do you think there are no surveillance cameras in the ward? Hearing the word divorce again, Li Duol calmed down and pursed her lips. Jiang Beishu, I can apologize to you for this matter. But it's clearly you who went too far. Qinghe's foot has gotten much worse because of you. The doctor said that if he doesn't recuperate well, he might even become paralyzed. You've heard him so many times, you should take the initiative to pay for his medical expenses instead of making a fuss about divorce here. I seem to have misheard, looking at Li Duol in shock. My daughter Xiao Xiao died because of her actions, and now she's blaming me? And don't show me any fake certificates. You might as well give me all the money you have for forging this. I'm your wife. Why always elbowing out? Saying that she tore that death notice to pieces, flung the fragments into my face. I felt a surge of helplessness, and the cigarette between my fingers trembled. Li Duol wasn't like this before. After I met her, I was attracted by her gentleness. Xiao Xiao also liked her very much. I pursued her for a long time, but she always refused. Later, I learned that she still had her first love, Song Qinghe, in her heart. It wasn't until Song Qinghe got married abroad that Li Duol agreed to my proposal. Everything should have been beautiful, but Song Qinghe got divorced and came back from abroad, and Li Duol changed completely. Later, she had an accidental miscarriage and became even more irritable. She quarreled with me more than once, asking me to kick Xiao Xiao out of the house. She's not your real daughter. This jinx killed my child. Why do you still side with her? I just thought she was in pain from losing her child, and I did everything I could to compensate her. I gave her whatever she wanted. I even turned a blind eye to her secretly contacting Song Qinghe. But now I know that everything I did was wrong. Xiao Xiao's body was covered in scars, old and new, a testament to the long-term abuse she had endured. Li Duol vented all her resentment on her. Years of compensation still couldn't change anything. I took a deep drag of my cigarette, choking until tears streamed down my face. It was my constant tolerance that had harmed Xiao Xiao. Not many people attended Xiao Xiao's funeral. It was mostly just a few kind aunties from the neighborhood. They all knew that Li Duol had been beating the child, but they felt it wasn't their place to interfere in other people's family matters. Xiao Jiang, don't be too sad. Xiao Xiao is at peace now. When you weren't around, that crazy woman of yours never held back. The neighbor Annie comforted me, wiping her own tears and repeatedly saying what a good child Xiao Xiao was. Jiang Beishu, do you even want to live a normal life anymore? Li Duol stormed in, her face filled with rage, followed by Song Qinghe. I hadn't seen Song Qinghe for a while, and he was already able to walk, proving that the story about his serious injuries was also false. How dare you sell the house without my permission? Lele, let's go back. You can live with me now that the house is sold. Why bother living a hard life with Jiang Beishu? Song Qinghe held Li Duol's hand, his face full of heartache. He looked at me with a cold expression. Jiang Beishu, if you don't love her, don't keep bullying her. Lele is also a woman. You sold the house just like that. Where is she supposed to live? I was filled with anger at the sight of them. But this was still Xiao Xiao's funeral after all. Li Duol, I told you. We're getting a divorce. I bought the house. I can do whatever I want with it. Don't forget, you still haven't paid back the hundreds of thousands you stole from me. Li Duol's eyes were red with anger. She looked around, tore the wreaths to shreds, and smashed everything she could find. What the hell is wrong with you? My face was dark with anger, and I slapped Li Duol across the face. She covered her face, tears streaming down as she sneered. When our child died, why didn't you give him a funeral? Now, just to fight with me, to throw a tantrum, you're holding a fake funeral to fool me. Whenever this happened, she always threatened me with our dead child. But this time, I couldn't tolerate it anymore. I told you the child's death was an accident. The surveillance footage clearly shows it. You were the one who dropped the child. Xiao Xiao didn't understand anything. Why did you put everything on her? She's dead. You killed her. Do you know that? You only have eyes for Song Qinghe. Li Duol's face went blank for a moment, and the people attending the funeral looked at her with disdain. She looked at Xiao Xiao's portrait, suddenly shuddered, and her eyes filled with even more disgust towards me. She cursed and rushed over, constantly grappling with me. Keep acting, keep acting. I'll smash all of this that you've set up. A sharp crack sounded, and both Li Duol and I quickly turned our heads. My pupils constricted. Scattered around Song Qinghe's feet was a pile of ashes. He looked a little embarrassed and took a few steps back. I didn't mean to. I thought this was fake too. I roared and pushed Song Chingha to the ground. Song Chingha's face was still pale. Li Duol was already frozen in fear. Seeing the ashes on the ground, she finally believed that Xiao Xiao was really dead. I carefully cradled the ashes, but the tears couldn't stop falling. I was an orphan, and Xiao Xiao was a child I adopted. For a long time, we depended on each other. Not only could I not protect her, but even her funeral was disrupted. Husband, I didn't know. I thought you were lying to me. Li Duol was at a loss, but she firmly held Song Chingha's hand, as if afraid I would go crazy and beat him up again. She softened her voice, constantly comforting me and apologizing. I was wrong, husband. Xiao Xiao died in a car accident, right? I didn't kill her. I turned my head sharply and glared at Li Duol. She swallowed hard, completely losing the arrogant demeanor she had when she arrived. In the end, she was just afraid of being held accountable for her life. The people who came to the funeral had long been scared away by Li Duol. Song Chingha was already scared of me. He was just a coward who hid behind women. Jiang Beishu, I didn't mean to, and she's already dead. He shrank his neck, and before he could finish, I punched him to the ground. I even knocked out his teeth. Li Duol desperately protected Song Chingha, and my fist landed mercilessly on her body. She wiped her tears and shouted, "Stop hitting us. We really didn't know Xiao Xiao was dead. I thought you were deliberately scaring me. I'll do anything you want. I won't argue with you anymore. I can compensate you." My eyes were red, and my clenched fists trembled. What can you give back? Xiao Xiao was abused by you, and you were the one who pulled out the oxygen tube. Did you really think there were no cameras in the hospital room? After marrying you, I fulfilled all your wishes. Just because Xiao Xiao wasn't your biological daughter, you treated her like this. Xiao Xiao still had a chance to live. You're a murderer. My calm narration made Li Duol collapse to the ground. She was terrified by my appearance, desperately grabbing my sleeve and snatching my phone. I'll do anything you want, as long as you don't call the police, please. I've worked hard to take care of Xiao Xiao these years. Don't call the police. I don't want to go to jail. I was filled with a pent-up anger that I couldn't vent. I sneered and pointed at Song Chingha, who was covered in blood from my beating. Make him kneel down and apologize to Xiao Xiao. And you, sign the divorce agreement and leave with nothing. Li Duol had originally vowed to make amends for everything. But now, she wore a bitter expression. She didn't want to divorce me because she coveted my assets. At the same time, she couldn't bear to see Song Chingha suffer. Chingha is a highly educated intellectual. Making him kneel and admit his mistakes is trampling on his dignity. I interrupted her, pointing to the door. Get out. Don't defile Xiao Xiao's path to reincarnation. Just as Li Duol was still hesitating, Song Chingha grasped her hand, his voice barely a whisper. Lele, I feel like Jiang Beishu is going to beat me to death. He's beaten me half to death. He's vented enough. It's all my fault. I shouldn't have come back to find you. Li Duol instantly shifted her gaze to him, her previously dejected demeanor now tinged with spirit. She helped Song Chingha up, her voice soft. It's okay. I'll take you to the hospital first. I watched their tightly clasped hands, my heart numb. Li Duol didn't say anything more and left with Song Chingha. In her eyes, Song Chingha was more important than her own life. I wiped my face. Xiao Xiao, in her portrait, still wore an innocent smile. She would never again hold my arm and stammeringly call me dad. Since the funeral, Li Duol hadn't contacted me for a week. I sold the house, so she had nowhere to go. The only possibility was that she was with Song Chingha. The investigation into Xiao Xiao's car accident had dragged on for too long, with no news. This made me go to the police station. The police officer seemed surprised to see me, as if wondering why I was there. When I inquired about the accident results, the officer's expression changed slightly. There were no surveillance cameras on the road where the accident occurred. It was discovered because someone reported it. Someone was live-streaming there at the time and happened to capture the face of the Dalsher driver and the license plate number. The police officer handed me the video. Although it was blurry, I recognized it immediately. It was Song Chingha. He had hit Xiao Xiao and even limped out of the car after the impact to take a look. No wonder his leg was injured. Thinking about the whole thing and how he had the nerve to show up at Xiao Xiao's funeral, I wanted to kill him right then and there. I clenched my jaw, trembling with rage. I pointed at the person in the video. I know this person. The police officer didn't seem surprised at all and simply put the video away. A few days ago, your wife said that this matter was settled privately and the party at fault would bear all medical expenses. She said she was the child's mother, and we checked the household registration book, which confirmed it. Didn't she tell you? My eyes were empty, staring blankly at the police officer. I took a deep breath, feeling a sharp pain in my chest. So, Li Duol had known all along who hit Xiao Xiao. If I hadn't come to inquire, the matter would have been dropped. I asked the police station for a copy of the surveillance video. I was in a daze as I walked out. I found Song Qinghe's home, but I didn't immediately go in to confront him, because I saw Li Duol, who had been missing for days, was also there. The two were sitting on the windowsill, passionately kissing, visible to anyone who looked up from the street. I stood downstairs, looked up, and expressionlessly took out my phone to take a picture. After Song Qinghe returned from abroad, he joined a well-known company and became an executive director. Since Song Qinghe liked someone else's wife, he certainly wouldn't care about other people's opinions. I went to Song Qinghe's company and made his affair with Li Duol known to everyone. To expose Song Qinghe, I also live-streamed online, revealing his hit and run and how he was messing around with my wife. The matter spread rapidly. Almost at the same time, I received a private message in my inbox. It was from Song Qinghe's original wife. Song Qinghe was not divorced at all. They had a 3-year-old son. Song Qinghe had only told his wife that his return to the country was a job transfer. I collected all this evidence, printed out the photos I took, and anonymously sent them to every employee in his company. Not only that, but I also went to the hospital and obtained the surveillance video. Li Duol had always been a housewife, short-sighted, and very concerned with appearances. The moment she opened her eyes, she would feel like the sky was falling. I couldn't wait to see their current situation. I stood downstairs at Song Qinghe's house again and heard Li Duol's heart-wrenching cries. Didn't you tell me you were divorced? Why did you lie to me? Don't you know how much I've done for you? Who the hell asked you to meddle? Did I ask you to? You were like a leech sticking to me. You have a husband, yet you still seduced me. Are you that desperate? Song Qinghe tore off his former gentle mask and cursed at Li Duol without mercy. Then came the sound of things shattering. Li Duol stumbled out of the door, disheveled, and ran into me. Tears hung on her eyelashes, and her mouth was bleeding from a split lip. Li Duol pouted aggrievedly, crying to me, Jiang Beishu, did you do all this? Are you trying to drive me to my death? Did you have to be so ruthless? Since the incident, Song Qinghe had been fired from his original company. Now he was unemployed and unlikely to be accepted by any other company in the short term. I smiled. This is your first love, your white moonlight. For him, you stole all the money. For him, you concealed the truth about Xiao Xiao's accident. Do you really think the police wouldn't be able to find you? Li Duol trembled, her face filled with fear. She grabbed my sleeve and said urgently, I really didn't know he was like that. He wasn't like this before. He told me he was divorced from his ex-wife. He told me he still thought about me. I really didn't know Song Qinghe was such a person. He was not only with me, but also flirting with several other women at the same time. I receive threatening messages every day. I had nowhere to go, so I had to live with him. And he beats me every day. Husband, take me away. Let's get back together. The divorce papers haven't been signed yet. I'm still your wife. The person I love has always been you. Seeing her incoherent appearance, I took a few steps back. I frowned in disgust. Li Duol, I have good news for you. Her dead eyes instantly lit up with hope. I've already obtained the hospital surveillance video, including the copy from the police station. I'll give you the divorce papers. If you don't sign them, we'll go to court. I don't mind pressing charges for both matters at the same time. I wonder how many years one can get for intentional homicide. Li Duol's face turned pale, and she trembled, unable to utter a word. Everything was initially going smoothly. I had gathered all the evidence and found a lawyer. For Xiao Xiao, I would never let Song Qinghe go. But on this day, Song Qinghe's first wife came to me. She was a typical foreigner, accompanied by a translator. I was just taken aback by her imposing presence when I opened the door. Song Qinghe's first wife was no pushover, sporting sunglasses and a head of bold, wavy hair, with dozens of bodyguards in black suits behind her. I almost thought I had stumbled upon some kind of triad. Do you know where Song Qinghe is now? I snapped out of it and told her the address without hesitation. We live in a society governed by law now. Isn't that a bit much? I pointed at the bodyguards behind Song Ching-ha's first wife. Not because I was worried Song Ching-ha would be beaten to death, but because I was afraid of being implicated. The woman took off her sunglasses and scrutinized me. Don't worry. Do you need me to take care of your wife too? From your Weibo posts, your wife was pregnant, right? Then you'd better think about whether it was Song Ching-ha's bastard child. With that, the woman left with her entourage. Just 3 days later, my lawyer called me. Mr. Jiang, about the Song Ching-ha case, you don't need to sue anymore. My heart skipped a beat, and I couldn't help but think of the murderous look on Song Ching-ha's first wife's face. After I inquired, the lawyer didn't say much, just sent me a video. The video was from a street surveillance camera. Song Ching-ha was running frantically, with several men in black suits chasing him. But it seemed that he didn't have any serious injuries besides some superficial wounds. However, when crossing at a traffic light, he was running so fast that he didn't notice it was still red. He jumped over the barrier and ran out. He was hit by an oncoming truck and sent flying more than 10 meters, his brains splattered everywhere. He died instantly. The truck driver had insurance, and the incident could only be blamed on Song Ching-ha running a red light. No matter how much Song's family cried, it was useless. I saved this somewhat bloody video. When I checked the trending searches, I saw that the incident had already made the list. Knowing about Song Ching-ha's heroic deeds, netizens were all commenting below, saying that karma is a bitch. I gently stroked Xiao Xiao's small photo. If Xiao Xiao knew that the villain who hit her had already been punished, would she be happier? Song Ching-ha escaped, but Li Duol did not. She kept resisting and refusing to sign the divorce agreement. She even said to me, Xiao Xiao really liked me. If you treat me like this, Xiao Xiao won't rest in peace even in death. This made me even more determined to sue her. What right did Li Duol have to talk about Xiao Xiao in front of me? On the day of the court hearing, Li Duol had dark circles under her eyes and exuded a sense of ease. She knew about Song Ching-ha's death and should have been severely warned by his first wife. Why won't you let me go? I already know I was wrong and have been punished. I just want to live a good life with you. You told me that before. You said you were an orphan and you wanted to have a family like me. Why do you have to block all the roads? Li Duol sobbed with a crying voice as soon as she saw me. I am an orphan and Xiao Xiao was also abandoned. She and I should have a happy family. But I was wrong. Xiao Xiao and I were family, while Li Duol was always an outsider. During the negotiation, Li Duol still wanted to gain my sympathy. She cried with tears streaming down her face, saying, Jiang Beishu, I don't have much time to live. I have cancer. I just want to spend the rest of my days with you. Without me, you'll be alone. Can we not go to court? I'll cook delicious food for you when we get home. Li Duol kept begging me, and even the judge asked me if I would accept mediation. I just looked at Li Duol coldly. When she abused Xiao Xiao and pulled out Xiao Xiao's oxygen tube, she didn't have this attitude. Then did you let Xiao Xiao go? She was thrown into a trash can as soon as she was born. She regarded you as her biological mother. She didn't understand anything. She just had a birth defect, but she didn't do anything bad. I smiled somewhat cruelly. I don't accept mediation. This is not over. Li Duol instantly deflated, and she slumped to the ground. I knew about Li Duol's illness. Her health had been poor since the miscarriage. Some time ago, when I went to the hospital to collect evidence, I ran into her. She was squatting at the entrance of the hospital. When she saw me, her eyes turned red. I have cancer, late-stage uterine cancer. There's no cure. Even so, you won't let me go? Li Duol still wanted to get money from me for treatment. She still only saw money. Finally, her lawyer, knowing that she had cancer, fought for an opportunity for her. Cancer patients can only be released on bail and cannot be sent to prison. I had to accept this fact. This was not the worst outcome. Even if she didn't go to jail, she would be tortured to death by the disease. When leaving the court, Li Duol called out to me. She wiped her tears. If I can still live, can I come and find you? I want to apologize to Xiao Xiao. I'm sorry. I disdained to listen to such pale and powerless words. Only 3 months later, Li Duol passed away. Her body was still in the morgue. As her ex-husband, I had nothing to do with her. I scattered Xiao Xiao's ashes in the sea. She had asked me before, what is the sea? The end.